Hi everyone, welcome to Photography Chat with Merlin. This is Season 2, Episode 9, and we're going to have Felice Trinidad in with us here shortly. Just get her in the chat, and then we'll get things going. Hope everyone's been having a good week. Oh, there she is. Okay, let's invite. Come on. Why is this not working? Okay. Come on, buddy. Oh no! Felice, you have to update your Instagram. Your Instagram version is too old. So yeah. We should have done a trial run. Son of a bitch. Because I can't add you into it here. Okay, Felice is gonna update her Instagram, and then we'll get her in here. So, thank you, Allie, for joining. Hey, Danielle, how have you guys been doing this week? You guys still there? I know. I'm sorry, Allie. It is monkey shit. Technical difficulties. It happens. It's the pandemic. These are trying times. I guess I should maybe make a point to do test runs before the actual run, because this is going to be a long start to the podcast entry when I get around to uploading that at some point. I'm a couple episodes behind on that right now because, pandemic times, they're so great. Dance? You're making me really uncomfortable right now. How's Montreal? When the pandemic's over, I'll come dance for you in Montreal. 110%. If it ever is over. There we go. Hooray. Okay, I think she's joining. There she is. Oh, hi.
Sorry, technical difficulties.
No worries. It happens. It's always like the updating and all that. It's not the first time it's happened on the show, so you don't have to feel bad about it.
Good. Wait, is there a lag?
Nope, you're good.
Okay.
There was like a little bit of a lag, like right at the beginning, but you're all good now.
Perfect.
How are you doing?
How are you? I had a really good day today. I made a video.
Nice.
My voice is raspy because I've been singing, so it's perfect for podcast time. What did you do today?
Today, I mostly work today. So my day job is a lot of Zoom. So I spent a lot of time on Zoom. But I picked up a new turntable this week. So in my off times, I've been enjoying.
Whoa, that's a good activity to endeavor to get into. Do you have experience?
Not DJ, just for listening. I can't do the DJing thing. I tried it before. I had a bunch of friends that were DJs. They tried to get me into it, and it's just not really my brain's not wired for that kind of stuff.
Sure, it's a whole different
I
art.
had this cheap on turntable that I just was never really happy with, but it was a good deal 5 years ago, and I'm an adult now, so I figured I'm gonna upgrade. I'm gonna get a nicer turntable. So
wait, when you say turntable, do you mean record player? Is it synonymous?
It's the same thing, more or less.
Is it? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm thinking scratchy scratch thing.
Well, you could use this one so it's a Technic, so you could use.
Oh, you can. It's hybrid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's literally way back in the day. That's what people did. They would just buy record players and scratch away on them. So
True. Old days.
can't quite do that, but I know some dudes that can, and they're pretty amazing at it. And yeah,
So
not
it's a DJ bar.
What's up, John? So
Because
shout
of
out to
what
you
both
there.
of us. I
Uh,
think he's
yeah, I mean, this would have happened if John hadn't have introduced us on the Lomo walk there.
he's the glue.
He is the glue there. Um, yeah, so it's how has the photography stuff been going through the last little bit? I know you had a couple of projects there that you were working on.
I took a break from like December till now. March though, I'm trying to be more selective now because of COVID. So there's two big gigs that I'm really excited about, and they're like my two favorite artists. It's gonna be like album covers, but I can't
Oh,
say.
nice. That's
So
exciting.
yeah, I'm excited about that. I don't really shoot casually anymore, but I'm hopeful with the weather getting warmer. Ooh, what you got in your hand there?
My
Um,
Nikon F5.
Plastic. When it gets warmer, it's just easier to be safer than outside. I don't want to like do that. Do the hassle of looking for studios and seeing if they're still open in COVID. And then they only have like 4 limit thing.
Yeah, it's working in the COVID time is such a weird time to be like creating and collaborating. Like, oh, someone's any name drops.
NDAs.
That's fair. You gotta have that NDAs.
Hello,
Um,
Josh's Cooker.
how have you been finding it? Like, working through. Yeah, I mean, the first year of the pandemic, going into the new year of the pandemic now.
I like I, I like this break, like because photography started as a hobby, then a career, and then I was so stressed with it. Um, and this nice, like um, this break was like a long time coming. I I'm like I overwork myself. I tend to do that, just book shoots after shoots. But I like that this gave me time to relax and like really think out and plan shoots.
That's pretty
How about
awesome.
you? Do you shoot casually? Like, do you go outside?
So yeah, most of my shooting in the before time was all like mostly casual. Like, I I don't make any money with my work per se. I just spend a lot of money on it.
I know.
Like,
No. Oh,
film is so expensive. Like, R.I.P.
right.
Wallet. So I guess COVID's helped my pocketbook a little bit because, like, I mean, I was shooting like 3 to 5 rolls a week in the before times. Just because, like,
Doing the math in my head.
what's that?
I
Yeah,
did the math in my head.
it's a lot. Like, someone asked me one time, it's like, what have you spent on like films and cameras? And I started kind of like crunching it in my head and was like, I don't want to play this game anymore.
I know. It's just best not to know.
Yeah, it's a
It's so
terrible.
dumb.
Yeah, it's bad. But I mean, I don't drink or really do drugs anymore. So the money that I used to spend on all that kind of stuff, I spend on a new addiction. So
Better option.
yeah, a better addiction. And I mean, like the shoots I have done, I've been out of pocket on those ones mostly. Like when I'm collaborating with like Raywin and Mara and stuff. Like that's just more for fun. Like they have interesting visions that they need help executing, and
Exactly.
I've got time and resources, so it's um it's fun to do that with them. So yeah, but it is definitely like affected like how much because like man now if I'm lucky to like if I shoot like a roll or two a month I'm kind of like I'm
Satisfied?
okay.
Yeah.
Well, not satisfied, but it's just like I'm like okay I did something.
It's
Most of,
something. Yeah.
yeah, well it's tough because like I mean most of my shooting used to be I would like for work I used to travel a lot so like all over Canada and all over
Yeah.
Ontario so I'd always just have my camera and bring film with me and so just be shooting random stuff while I was out and about and then just also used to go out and visit friends a lot so just would always have my camera with me and so that meant there was always interesting shit to see and now I'm just mostly in my house all the time and there's only so many fucking pictures I can take of my cactuses. Like,
I know my house is not cool enough for photos. I want to try self portraits, but I've already used my house like to bits, and nothing's new to me anymore. But maybe it's a challenge. I'm just gonna read this question out loud.
sure
Love
thing.
your work. Thank you so much. When I used to have to work as a musician, I found having to depend on music for money killed my love for it. Do you ever struggle with that with photography? Yes. Okay, I feel that because eventually, I don't think I've gotten to that point yet, thankfully, but because I still very much love it. But I get what you mean when money's involved and when it stops being like a for fun thing and it's just filled with like obligations and like duties and it feels like work. That's the challenge, but that's why it's like so important to have a balance and just like people have I try to make myself have like different art mediums, so like music being one of them, writing, just so I never always just in the I just said never always. That I'm never just in photography mindset. Like I wanna give it a break sometimes. How about you? Do you feel like you've reached that point?
That's
Not
well, so
fun.
like that's one of my fears with it is if I started charging and I started making it work, I would end up hating it. And like I use it mostly as a
Yeah,
mental health tool. So I really don't want to hate it because like it's literally one of the few things that makes me stick around.
exactly.
And so like the closest I've gotten to like monetizing it is like doing book stuff, which I just got the proof copy of the Polaroid book in.
Oh my
Uh,
god! Wait, is this your first one?
no,
Have you ever
this
done this
this
before?
is my second one. So the first
That's so
one,
cool.
was this guy, which I'm going to be doing a re-release of this year. I did
Oh, I like the
2018.
orientation.
Yeah, so I did this in 2018 because like I moved here from uh, Vancouver in 2017, and one of the first things that I noticed was all these like weird convenience stores that y'all have like all over the place here in Ontario. We don't really have that shit out west anymore. Like it's just like
Oh
7-Eleven
really?
and stuff. Yeah, most of that got like all gentrified away. So I thought it was kind of
Yeah.
interesting. So I when I was driving around, I took a medium format camera and shot these things. And I did a run of 90 books in 2018, and sold out of them. And I'm planning on doing a follow-up book to this before I possibly leave Toronto later this year. Um,
Oh,
the follow up I'm gonna do a 2-page spread, and it's not just gonna be convenience stores. Like it'll be convenience stores, but also like independent shops. But I want to do a front shot of the location on pack film on like a Fuji FP100, and then I want to
yeah.
do a quad of interior shots on this side with Superior 1600 because like independent shops,
Favorite.
it's such a nice film, and I have like
Oh
five,
my god.
five rolls of it left.
Oh
Um,
my god. I'm
and
so jealous.
yeah, and I just kind of like the idea of like shooting something that's going extinct with something that's already extinct. So
Wow.
the plan is
Multiple layers of symbolism there.
exactly. So the plan is to shoot that book before I possibly leave Toronto before the summer, and then edit it and put it together. But leading up to that, I'm gonna do a reissue of this one, um, and see if people are interested in that. So this will be this one will be coming up for pre-order soon here. There was just a couple of things with the public, like the printer, that I've got to get sorted out before I like greenlight it for production. But I'm like fairly happy with like how the photos turned out for the most part in it. Like these are some of the exciting photos that you can see in my quarantine book. That's making day
Wow. All Polaroids. Polaroid on print
day
is
20.
just that's so fascinating. I like back to the first book. I like that you chose convenience stores as a subject because there's something about convenience stores, like especially like local mom and pop ones that are so aesthetic, like and especially the lighting inside. Like I always say that my favorite lighting is inside the shitty lighting in convenience stores on film, because it turns
Mm.
out like to the eye it's like this, it's like yellowish, but on film it renders as green. Sometimes you get that like nice, you know what
I like
I mean.
convenience stores at night too, like when you get that glow from the machines in there.
Glow.
That's kind of a cool thing. But also like the thing that was interesting when I did the first book was at the opening reception for the book, seeing people reading it with like their pals and stuff. And people are like, "Oh, my first apartment was like down the street from that place," or like when we were kids, like me and my like friends would like hang out and like meet up and buy penny candies at that one. And it was interesting to hear the stories from all these people about like how important these convenience stores were as like community.
Really,
And
very nostalgia inducing, like
yeah,
corner stores.
yeah, it was just like, in the time before like cell phones and social media and shit like that, people would just be like, um, after school, like meet up with their homies at like the corner milk store and figure out what they're gonna do. What is it?
Ron just said something so.
Convenience store.
Convenience stores here in Toronto feel like a scene from a Murakami book at night. Straight portals. Well
Yeah,
said. Always
I believe it.
with him. He's so eloquent all the time.
Definitely
But
is.
I have topics here that I wanted to discuss, like that I've never discussed before. Okay.
Okay,
Um,
hit me with your topics.
I'm
Let's.
prepared. Okay.
I'm never prepared for these things.
Okay. What is your opinion on gatekeeping in the photography community? And by that, I mean, like, when people ask you, what lens do you use, or what lights do you use, or where with this location, like they want the shortcuts. Like on one hand, you can see it as them wanting shortcuts and them not wanting to put in the work. And then on the other hand, you can see it as gatekeeping, like why, like you seem like a bitch for keeping it like secretive. What's your opinion on that?
So, like for me, I have no problem sharing anything I've learned and anything I've come across because um, people can use the same equipment as me. They can go to the same places as me, but they're never going to take the same photos that I take because they don't see things the way that I do. I personally kind of fucking hate gatekeeping um, and just sort of like the general douchebaggery that goes around in like the film community with like these sort of elitist folks that are just like
Yeah.
afraid to share because they're worried that like someone could like supersede them or whatever. And I think that's also like a thing when you're relying on this as an income. Maybe
Yeah.
that's more of like a scenario for gatekeeping as well, because they're worried about like having their livelihood taken away. Like that was one thing that I noticed a lot in Vancouver um, with a lot of my friends that do photography there is like there was a lot of that sort of like they were very like they would hold it back, which is not how I like to operate at all. So like not a fan of
Respect.
gatekeeping.
Counterpoint. Okay, when you go to a restaurant, like say it's a really high-end restaurant, and you ask them, like it's taboo to ask them for the recipe because it's kind of like their trade secret. So on the topic of gatekeeping and translating it into photography world, like say like certain gear or certain combinations of things in your work um, are your secret rep or secret recipe or secret weapon. Does that make it okay to gatekeep them, or just like withhold that because it is like your like secret weapon?
Well, I mean, even in that regard, someone can have the recipe and they're never going to make it the same way you do. So like
True.
that's the thing is like, someone could go in there and they can steal your cookbook and it could be a complete Greek language to them because they won't understand what you're they could even steal all of your utensils and tools and they'll never be able to do what you do because only you can do that.
That's so true.
So it's like
Power
that's
sensitivity.
where I kind of feel like gatekeeping is kind of a silly thing because like we should be helping to prop each other up more, because like I've learned from some really great brilliant photographers, but I've also learned from some people that just like picked up a camera recently and have just been trucking around and just figuring shit out. And like that's one of the things that I've really liked it, being part of like the instant film community is there isn't a lot of that kind of gatekeeping that I've noticed at all in the instant film community. Um, and so I guess I'm like trying to bring it more into like different communities there. Um, Josh says 20 years ago photography wasn't easy to enter. Yeah, I could imagine like 20 years ago that would have been a lot harder because like that was more film based and that was more like,
Yeah.
before digital really like took off. Like I think digital really changed the moniker of photographer because like um even when I like first got into digital photography in like the early 2000s, um, every asshole that could go out and afford a DSLR was all of a sudden a photographer, and they were like, trying to
Mhm.
make money. It was just like there was a lot of really shit output going out there, just because people could afford to buy gear, and yeah, so like that's what I think maybe they're referring to is that shift because that would make sense about 20 years ago before that shift would have happened, it was hard because like you needed to understand how to use film and like have a studio and do all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. All these obstacles, but now so with social media, like in our generation, it anyone can be a photographer. Really, anyone can be discovered, which is both good and bad. Like there's more, um, like diamonds are harder to find, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
accessibility for everyone is ultimately great.
well, and I mean like I think garbage has always existed as well too. Like the social media world hasn't created more garbage; it's just shown it to us in a more effective way.
Yeah,
Um,
more dirt, more explicitly.
there's just more of it out there. Not saying that like um, everything is all garbage, but there's like it's been weird seeing some people that have just beautiful work, but such a small following, not get the love that they should deserve because their work is just gorgeous, and then some asshats out there with like a massive following and shitty photos, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, they're so amazing,"
I
and
know
I'm just like,
the
"What?"
hype, good for
Yeah.
numbers. Yeah, did
And
social media ruin photography as an art? Good question. Yeah, you just
what
touched
do
on
you
that. Like,
think on that one?
this ruin as a let me think about that. Ruin. Like the traditional way to present photography was always prints and zines and stuff, but now things with like feature pages and like Vogue Italia, um, it's kind of like what's the word? Cheapens it? No, I'm blanking.
That's all right. Um, I'm kind of 50-50 on that one because I think in one regard it can ruin it if you look at it that way. But I think it's also created an awesome inclusivity that has never existed before, and has built some really great communities where people can actually share and be encouraged and promote their work and get it out there, whereas you couldn't really do that before. Like there was I think a lot more gatekeeping in photography before like this internet social media age kind of thing. And yeah, that's a great point. Reverse OZ says social media doesn't ruin things people do. And that's absolutely true. Is like it's the same thing when people say like, Instagram's dead or Instagram's ruining creativity, and I a million percent disagree with that because it can Instagram can be an extremely toxic thing, but that's not Instagram. That's you. If you're
Right.
finding your experience with Instagram is toxic, it's because you've created a toxic experience on Instagram because of what you've curated in your feed and what you've like decided to pick and choose to have fed to you and what you choose to
Mm-hmm.
interact with. So that's not Instagram's fault. That's 100% on you because you picked that shit. So if you're feeling like shitty about it, think about your like choices and decisions there and maybe alter that. And like I've been using Instagram almost since it came out as a platform. Like I got onto it like 8 months after it launched, and so I've gone through
Late.
like bunch of different phases. And like, I've also left my Instagram. I haven't gone and curated it, so it's like I'm at like 6,000 photos or something right now. So if you take the time to scroll through it, it's like an
Yeah,
archaeological
I
dig, and
like
so like,
people who do that because you get to
well,
see let people see the progress and the evolution.
yeah, well, and it's also because there's just so many fucking photos that like I tried to curate it one time, and I'm like, I just no, we're not doing this. There's too many photos to like archive
Yeah,
and things like that. Um,
overwhelming.
but it's interesting because like if you go through, it's like an archaeological dig, and you can see the times where like I had a toxic relationship with Instagram. You can see like before I got into photography, like you can see my ex-wife and my dogs, and like here's my food, and this is the places I travel
Oh,
to and shit like that. And then in like the last 4 years, it's become really focused on photography, which is when I changed my relationship with Instagram. And I think like if you can find a way to have a good relationship with Instagram, it's a very powerful place to connect to other creatives. And like this
totally.
is an example of that kind of thing. Like, these chats started last year because I was just bored in my house and I saw these other people doing lives and I'm like, what's this whole live thing about? And it was just I was making dinner doing lives and people started asking me photography questions because like a lot of my stuff is on it, and then it just kind of evolved from there, and I have no idea what I'm doing with it, but people keep agreeing to be my guest and people keep watching, so I'm gonna keep
I like
doing that.
this format. I like
Yeah,
the like how casual and easily accessible it is. Like anyone can just tune in, tune out.
exactly. It's been fun. And then like I've been uploading it onto like YouTube and podcast. Like I'm a little behind because like I've just been kind of having a little bit of a struggle time.
Basically.
So I'm like two episodes behind on uploading. But it's been a really great portal to expand like my own experience in the photography world. Like everything that's happened with my photography since 2018 would have never happened if it wasn't for Instagram. Because like everything
Totally. Same
helped
with
me,
me. 6 years back.
yeah, like everything that's helped me like level up and like do all these different things. Um, it's all because of Instagram. And like the biggest kickoff, like it goes to a dude that I interviewed earlier this year, Alan Evans, who is the GM of the Leica store in Boston. He held a workshop in 2018 in Boston, and I met Armand from Denton, Texas there, and he invited me to Texas for this Polaroid event in Denton, Texas, and then like from there, just all sorts of crazy shit has come from that, and it's all because of Instagram, and it's a great glue to like hold these communities together. So I think it really depends on how it works. Like I don't particularly like when I hear people being like, it's dead and it sucks and it's killing things. Is like I strongly disagree with that because that's not my experience with it. I'm just curious, like, what your thoughts are on that.
On I wanted to like ask a question. Do you think Instagram is dying? Because everyone's saying like TikTok is the new app, which I would disagree with. Like, you see how people get, it's easier get to blow up and get viral on TikTok, but Instagram is caters to stills, whereas TikTok is videos. So I think Instagram still has many years to come.
I personally don't think Instagram is going anywhere anytime soon
Me
because
too.
it is out of all of the social media platforms that exist today. I wholeheartedly believe this is the most honest and genuine platform that exists out there because it's really just about sharing photos and stories with those photos. And so it's like if you put honest, genuine work into that, then and you'll connect with other honest, genuine work that's out there, and you'll build these communities on it. It's also in like the power of the community. Like we've seen it several times now when it's like when Facebook has tried to make massive wholesale changes to the platform, they've had to revert a lot of those changes back because the community on the platform has revolted. And you
Mm-hmm.
don't see that on any other social media platforms where it's like the people on this platform have a lot more power than we may think we have. So it's like, even though Facebook runs it and pays for it, and like they own all of our photos that we put onto it, um, we still kind of control the platform in a way, because like they don't want us to stop using it. They don't want us to push back on them. So it's interesting from that regard too, because I don't think there's many other platforms where you could do something like that. Like TikTok has its own sort of like, sketchiness out there.
Oh yeah.
And I kind of like, the relationship I have with TikTok is a lot like the relationship I had with toxic Instagram a few years back. So it's like, it's a real time suck, and I waste a lot of my time, and I don't get a lot of like richness from TikTok. It's more of a distraction, whereas like Instagram for me is like more of a richness thing, um, where I can connect and like stay in touch with other people.
Did you read this comment? Agree. And says the community for stills TikTok is a too.
ADHD too. Yeah, it's totally true. Where is it here? SK squared says, how have y'all been trying to stay creative these days of uncertainty?
Mm, I I haven't been doing anything photography related at all because I know when things open up, it'll be just a whirlwind. So different um, different mediums of art for me. But for photography, I like to make mood boards for fun sometimes, even though if like I don't execute it, like oh, it'll be executed sometime.
That's fair. I mean, for me, I created so much shit in the last 5 years that like I literally have thousands of photos to
In
go.
the archives.
Yeah, and so it's like I've been kind of taking this time where I'm not shooting as much, um, to just start going through them and figuring out what do I actually want to do with a lot of this stuff, because I don't actually consider myself a photographer. Um,
Interesting. Elaborate.
yeah, so I kind of, and a weird random lady coined the right term for me. I was on like a distance date last year, and this like lady's sister showed up drunk and disorderly at the patio we were hanging out in. And she like was all like just wasted and just leaned over and looked at me, and she's like, "You with your little fucking camera over there." She's like, you're a little fucking archivist, aren't you? Just stealing
Art.
stories and tucking them away. And I was just like, all right,
I've
we
never heard that word before. Does that word exist?
it is an actual word. And I was like, all right, drunk lady, how are you seeing me so well? Because like I've never really heard that term coined in that way. But when she said it to me, I was like, holy shit, you are right. I'm an archivist, because like that's what I actually take the photos for. It's not really to like, do commercial work or anything like that. It's
Yeah.
more because like I have a fear of not remembering. I am I also have like, oddly enough, someone who's like wicked suicidal. I have a fear of mortality, even though I have spent years with like tons of like suicidal ideation. So there's this like fear of like what's going to be left behind if I ever do succumb to myself one day. So um, I have used photography as a tool to sort of just like archive the world around me as I see it, and have it as like a way to share some of what I've seen with other people. Um, so it was interesting, like when she put it that way. And so like through the whole pandemic thing, I've just been kind of going through the back catalog of all the photos I have, figuring out what the hell should I do with all this stuff. So that's where the Polaroid book came from. And then I've got like a couple long-term book projects, also kind of in mind as well, where I'm going to dig like deeper into the archives. Like there's one that I'm really excited to get going, but I found like an old hard drive that had all of my photos from when I lived in Vancouver in the early 2000s, and I was shooting like a lot of like live shows and street photography, like punk shows, hip hop shows, stuff like that. And I wanted to make this book. I'm going to call it "This Revolution Was Not Televised," because there was a rap group that I used to do tons of photos for back then that was called "This Dance Dance Revolution Will Not Be Televised." And I found like some cover photos that I took for them for an album cover that never got used. So I want to use that for the front and back cover of the book. But the idea is like I want to pair all these photos I had from the early 2000s in Vancouver with stories from people in Vancouver, like rappers, artists, creators, of like their favorite moments of like the early, mid, late 2000s in Vancouver, before it kind of like died off and turned into like the condo hellscape that it is now to a degree. It seems to be like bouncing back a little bit more, which is like makes
I'm
me
not
kind of
aware of what's
like,
going on there. Oh.
because I miss that old Vancouver. But like I was just looking at these like old photos of Vancouver and I got like all misty about it because like I used to have so much fun back there. So that's like a book that's probably like at least a year and a half, 2 years away from seeing the light of day, just because like I have to collect stories from all these different people. But like I've reached out to a bunch of peeps, to like get them to commit to stories, and so I've got like a whole bunch of people on deck to like share stories with me, which is going to be kind of fun. And
When creating a book, I've always thought about it, but my problem is first like how to organize it, and that I would regret how I did things, and then once it's out, it's out. But how do you know when you're finished? Like when that book of work is done, stop adding to it, stop editing.
well, so it's funny that I'm resurrecting this book idea, and the main reason I'm resurrecting it is because um, I'm a little bit sad about the idea of leaving Toronto, but I think my time here is kind of like wound down, so it might be time to go back home. Um, but I originally had thought about this idea like a year and a half ago, but my photo mentor shit on me about it. It was
Why?
like it was interesting because he's like, yeah, whatever. You have all these great fucking beautiful ideas. You got it all buttoned up in a bow, but you haven't fucking shot anything yet about it. So like, fuck your stupid pretty ideas. Just go out there and shoot. Just go every fucking day, shoot. Eventually, the fucking work will tell you what needs to be done with it. But just like fuck your pretty ideas, just fucking make shit, and then shit'll happen from it. And I was like, okay, holy shit, I get it, because he's like, you've wrapped yourself up in this like perfect idea of like creating this thing, but you haven't created it yet. But you've already given yourself the
Yeah.
satisfaction that it's kind of like done because you've created this beautiful idea. Um,
Then at
but
least disappointment if you fall short of what's in here.
exactly. So I kind of took his idea to heart and I just went out and shot a bunch more. And like, I mean, the Polaroid book, that one was like pretty straightforward. I decided to take a Polaroid a day for lockdown, which was only supposed to be 2 weeks, which we all know was not.
Oh my
So,
god, it's March. It's March.
yeah, well, no, this was the first lockdown. So this is
Yeah.
like lockdown
This is a year
2020.
for you.
Um, so yeah, I stopped. When was the last day that I took a photo? Was day 53 of the lockdown. And I think we had like 2 more months after that because I was like, I can't just keep taking more photos of like around my apartment. Um, but like for that book, I knew like that was it. It was just all like quarantine stuff. But there's other things I've been looking at, in my archives of like what would pair well, um, to go into a book, and then like even talking with Jason a bit about like his process with things. Um, he'll shoot a bunch of stuff and then like sort of lay it out and see like what looks cohesive to go
Exactly. Yeah.
together. And like the latest book that he just put out from Stanley Barker. What? Here, just a second. I'll grab it here.
Okay. 2 weeks to a year one. Yikes, that's so true. How many? Too bad Canada's behind in the vaccine.
The Witch?
I'm just reading the comments
Oh,
about it starting 2 weeks and then
Yeah, a
year
year later.
later.
Yeah,
That's
this was his latest book that he put out here.
cool. I love that format. That's so cool.
It's a beautiful book, but this was he calls Selected American Photographs from 2008 to 2020, and it's all a mixture. Like some of it is stuff done on his 4x5, some of it is done on his like point and shoots, but it's just
Is
all
there
kind
a
of
theme?
it's just America. So
Oh,
just like it was just photos of random Americana as he traveled. Like some of it's just like mundane shit, but it's still beautiful. Like just like a weird stairwell kind of thing. But he has been
cool.
taking these photos since 2008, and Stanley Barker asked him if like he'd be interested in compiling like a book of like American photographs, and he was just like, I just happen to have tons of American photographs. Let's take a look at that. But I mean, there's things too like so my pal Becca that I help out at the Northern Film Collective, she just released this one, and we just sold out of it last week. So this was volume 1 of the Northern Film Collective, and this book we put an open call out for just Canadian film photographers to submit photos to be
That's
put in the
so
book.
cool.
And so we featured, I think it was like 68 different film photographers across Canada. And they're
That
like,
contributors.
where is it here? It was 151 pages of photos. Um, and that was like a pretty cool project to be part of. Like, she did all the layout and book design, but I boxed up and shipped most of them. But it was a fun one.
You contributed. That's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, like book projects are a fun thing, and I think like being, um, oh sorry, it'll cut. Which book are you asking about?
Maybe the last one.
Was it the Northern Film Collective one? So this was Northern Film Collective Volume 1, but it's sold out now. So it was a limited run of 150 books. So this one's gone. You can't get it anymore. And same thing with the Jason Lee one. It was a limited run of like 200 books, and he sold out of those ones too. Um, and like with yeah, sorry about that. It's sold out, but we might be doing another run later. It is going to be a yearly thing. So like volume 1 is like the start. So every year it's going to be like an
Really?
annual, like a yearbook kind of thing where we'll open up another submission and get a whole bunch of new photographs in there. And like going back to that whole community thing and feature page thing, a big reason why Becca started Northern Film Collective was there was nothing that really um, showcase Canadians. Like most of the feature pages are all very American focused, or like out in Europe and stuff like that. And so she was just like, there wasn't really much love um, for Canadians, so she started it, and then the Canadian film photography one started too, and that dude is an interesting cat. Some weird beef there. Um, I have no issues with Pete, but I think Pete has some issues with us. But Northern Film Collective, if you don't follow them, check them out. We feature daily on it. We do a rotation of curating, so it's like I'm the curator this week, and then next week it's going to be Allie, who's like a rad lady out in BC. She'll be curating. Becca takes over again after that. So if you're not following Northern Film Collective and you want to see sweet Canadian content, give them a follow. And there'll also be some other book projects coming up in there as well too. Like the volume series is like that's a big yearly one, but we also have been talking about doing some like smaller, maybe like zine kind of things in between. And I think like making books is a great pandemic thing to do if you're like feeling stuck with not being able to shoot. You probably have a ton of pictures that you haven't really done much with. So why not compile them in a book, or make them print, offer prints on your page or something. Um,
So I really want to start printing my work. I never do. Like maybe the I've only like. Do you have any prints of your work in your house or in your room?
I not in my room, but I
Yeah,
do.
I mean I only have a few that I had to print for a gallery, but like it wasn't specifically for my room. But I want to start doing that more. Like
I'm kind of a weirdo, and I don't like looking at my own photos.
right, true. I
It's
mean,
because
yeah.
like when I did the first book release, it was with a gallery showing too, and I had like 48 photos up, and not all of them sold, so I had like dozens and dozens of my own photos just laying around, and I got sick of them taking up space. So
Yeah.
the first lockdown wound down a bit, and we were able to freely travel a bit more. I did a print giveaway. I just said anyone that wants free art, DM me your address, and I'll drop off like distance drop an 8 by
Yeah.
10 frame photo. And yeah, I gave away all of those prints. I do have one and only one print here. I'll show it to y'all here just a sec. Hey Siri, Aziz Light. Okay.
I depend on Google Home and Siri.
What that?
I depend
Okay.
on Google Home and Siri. That's so funny.
So this is the one photo of mine that I have up
Oh,
here. The Polaroid photo that I
I'm
took.
framed. Cute.
Yeah, it is. Now it's a scan and it's enlarged because like a Polaroid's not typically that big.
I know. I
But
love this.
this was something that I made for a it was a show for mental health with Cam H, and I shot this in a town called Hope, BC. But I like the idea where it says experience hope because you know we all kind of need that sometimes.
Oh, that's so cute. Hope
Yeah,
as a city, but also
and
as a.
hope is an interesting thing too. So oh here like while I'm out, I can do there's some of the camera collection. The photo books are great. If you don't have many photo books, go buy
Mhm.
more photo
I'm gonna
books.
show them too.
If you're struggling with like creativity and what you're gonna do, like you know, get some photo books, get some ideas out there. And then also like if I'm a huge Polaroid nut, but like if
Whoa.
you're Polaroid stuff, these are some great books. Like the Polaroid Project has some amazing stuff on there of like different 8 by 10s, different media that was shot with Polaroid. Um, the story of Polaroid, that is a really fantastic book just to learn more about Polaroid. Polaroid, the Magic Material is a cool book by Florian Capps, who's the guy that created the Impossible Project, resurrected Polaroid. And then this one here by Peter Wensberg. It's a hard book to find, but it's a really, really fantastic story about old school Polaroid. It's so like the dude that wrote it was like an OG Polaroid employee that worked under Dr. Land, and yeah, there's some great books there. Oh, nerding out. And, yeah.
What a shelf you got. Ren, this book is my favorite. She's super heavy, and I got it in New York. It's Ren Hang's. Oh, can't.
Ooh.
Oh, probably
Oh
shouldn't do
my.
it.
It's okay.
You're gonna put it on YouTube. But yeah, Ren Hang. You know this
That's
book?
cool. No, I've never seen that one.
But do you know who Ren Hang is? I'm sure.
I'll have to look it up. I
Okay.
don't.
He is a famous Chinese photographer who takes very risque art, and he actually got arrested or
Good.
like just got in trouble legally because in China, like it's very taboo to photograph it, even talk about it. And then he unfortunately killed himself, but he's such a great photographer and it's just so obscure. Like I'm sure if you see his photos, you like
Those are beautiful.
you've seen him before. They go around.
I'll have to check.
Yes, you know Red Hang.
Here, while I'm out, at least that's what I picked up this week.
True. I like the
Yeah.
clear case. Is it one of the modern ones that are just like you press a button?
No, it's from the '70s. It's not modern at all.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I like doing things the hard way.
I'm looking at my zines.
I'll have
Yeah,
to check out Rin.
zines take up so much space, but I love them because I can open them like a year later, and it's a completely new experience for me. Like I forget what's in them. Let me see.
The books or
Yeah, like zines. Okay, this is my favorite zine. It's Love Magazine's fan edition, and it's
okay.
like Kendall Jenner, I think. Yeah, yeah. Kendall Jenner shot like a bunch of like they selected people from social media and they shot them. Like you got to get shot by Kendall Jenner, and they're actually really good. She's a good photographer.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have expected that.
right. But yeah, that's my favorite.
Who
Yeah,
would have thought?
so heavy. Yeah, for celebrities getting into photography, it's so cool because they can afford any camera they want. They always choose the Contax T2, and that's why the prices soar. But yeah, they get to reveal a world that the regular folk, don't see. So it's cool to step into their world. Fred
Yeah,
Hank's big night on the hotel room bed with the lovers inside. I know the shot you're talking about. My favorite shot of him is the one with the bird hanging from a girl's mouth. I think, but
I'll
that
have to
was
check out their work. It's a shame that they passed.
yeah. Um. Okay, wait, I have another topic.
Yeah.
What's your editing ritual?
My editing ritual? Well, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of fucking hate editing a lot.
I hate editing. Yeah, I know you do. We've talked about this with John too.
Which is like the main reason I do not like shooting digital is because I fucking hate editing
Oh my
so bad.
god, it's the worst, especially in event photography when you have to stay till midnight and then have all those photos and then like you need a quick turnover. Like it's an all nighter basically. I hate
Yeah,
it.
like that's one of the main reasons I really like shooting film a lot because I like the scans that I get from downtown camera. And I've gotten used to like certain stocks, how they scan those stocks, and like it gives me the result that I want, where I typically don't have to do anything at all to
Yeah,
do the photo.
very
Like even when I did this book, um, these are all just native scans from downtown camera. They're not even TIFF scans. They're just JPEG scans because I'm a cheap bastard. Um,
never paper tips except if it's like if they have the budget. But yeah,
yeah, but the thing is, like, unless you're going to be making like a massive
yeah,
prints or whatever, like the JPEG scans are totally fine for like digital consumption and like
exactly.
prints up to like 11 by 17. So I just like I haven't been able to justify going to TIFF, but um, I've I had to relearn how to use Lightroom after the car accident because my 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 brain got all weird on me. So it was like hard to like remember how to use computer shit. So by the time I could sit in front of a computer screen and not feel all janky about it, I'd completely forgotten how to use Lightroom. So I was like, oh neat, I get to go through a whole nother hell of like relearning everything about Lightroom again. And
Every
then I
photographer knows the hell of their first experience with Lightroom and seeing all those, like, what's a tone curve and what are all these notes? Ah, they come
yeah,
along.
it's one of those things that you just love to hate.
True. Do you have the new Lightroom, or like, did you upgrade, or
I
did?
do. So it's like I got a homie that works at Adobe that like hooks me up with stuff every year. So I get like I get a good deal.
I
So
like
I've
it.
got like
It's
the whole thing, which has helped because like when I did the book, I did that all in InDesign. Um, and if you're thinking about doing a book, or if anyone's thinking of doing a book out there, I would highly recommend checking out Blurb. Um, their pricing is fantastic. If you have InDesign, they have a great plugin that you can use with InDesign. where just basically it builds you the template for the book so that you know everything that you have to like fit within so that the book prints well. And then automatically uploads your project in there. And the thing that's cool with it too is you get like
Blurb?
oh,
Okay.
like it's real book and you get like an ISBN number and everything. So it's like you can be like, I'm a published author.
Mhm.
Um, and if you don't have InDesign, they have their own software called Bookwrite that is really easy to use. And so I would definitely recommend like if you're bored in the pandemic, trying to figure out what to do, and like you're sort of like creatively flat and you're not sure, then check that out.
See?
Maybe making a book would help get you out of your funk a little bit and get you all excited because you could look through your back catalog and go through some memories of the
Feeling
old.
the print is different. It's just so satisfying.
There is something really satisfying about like flipping through and seeing your stuff and like it's that's the one thing that's gonna bum me out about doing the the book in the new world now is that I won't be able to do a reception with it and just like see people getting all excited about it and
True.
stuff.
I know book parties.
Yeah, so that's kind of a bummer. Yeah, editing, I hate it.
My editing ritual. Sorry, you just like
Yeah, what's your editing ritual?
spiral. Okay, I need to light candles. I'm a
Oh,
very scent person,
okay.
and sound like the playlist has to be so fitting to the like if there's something off and like the photos don't look like they could be like the movie or stills to the song that's playing, everything is thrown off. So yeah, playlist choosing is very important to me. I edit best when I'm editing to Grimes. Like that's my secret weapon.
Okay.
That's all it takes to be Felice.com. Edit to Grimes. But yeah, I like some depending on what's playing. Like, do you play music when you edit? Like, I mean, who doesn't? But
I play music like most of the time when I'm doing like stuff where I'm trying to concentrate and stuff. Like I music is an
people
important.
do lo-fi hip hop and playlists. But yeah, like it, I can see like in front of my screen that I like my editing getting better or like little things changing. Like I will start to edit the way the song makes me feel. Like if I'm editing a really dark neon set and then I'm listening to something that's like summery, it'll start. It'll just throw things off. So that's always really important to me.
Yeah, I don't get quite like so I'm kind of stuck in the 90s with a lot of what I listen to. So it's like when I really want to concentrate, I'll like listen to a lot of like old punk. Um,
Huh? Whoa.
yeah, or like hip hop. Yeah, no, Nas knows. I love like No Effects, Bad Religion, um, Gutter Mouth, Lagwagon, like that kind of stuff is just like no use for a name. I listen to a lot of that stuff when I'm doing editing, but then also like a lot of hip hop stuff, like um, LP is like one of my favorites to listen to when I'm like trying to focus and work on stuff, and like Run the Jewels as well, because like it's the work that LP and Killer Mike do there is really great. Um, one that I'm curious, do you ever listen to Leilani?
No, doesn't ring a bell.
Okay, I'll have to send them to you.
Yeah.
They're fantastic. Like if you dig Grimes, you'd probably like Leilani a lot. This like young girl that lives in California that does like all this like fucking crazy shit with like a machine, like
Say what?
yeah, like sequencer and like she's wicked talented and has like really kind of skyrocketed. And she did a bunch of collabs with the Gaslamp Killer, who I love listening to the Gaslamp Killer when I'm trying to focus
That
on stuff.
name. Is that a band
It's
or
a
a
dude.
stage name?
It,
Oh,
it's like
that's
it's
not
a
stage name.
he's a DJ. And he toured with Run the Jewels for RTJ3. So I saw him live for RTJ3. That was really cool. But yeah, the Gaslamp Killer is great. His music, he released an album last year called Heart Math, which is a really great album. Yeah,
These
it's
titles are very intriguing. So,
he's a very intriguing cat. The There's a live album that he did, the Gaslamp Killer live. There's a track Nassim that he does on that one. That's like one of my favorite tracks, and also just because like just some of the stuff he talks about in it as well, like his commentary because it's a live thing. He's an interesting cat, and also just like very approachable. I've had a couple chats with him on the grams, which is like one of the things I really dig about Instagram is that like all people are kind of just people on there, and so it's like
it
like in
levels the playing field.
exactly it does level the playing field quite a bit. And he also has like a really cute cat named the Catnip Killer that has its own
Oh
Instagram.
my god, of course. The cat's gotta have an even cooler name.
Yeah,
That's sick.
exactly. Yeah, music is important. I freaking love like rocking out to stuff when I'm trying to work away on things.
Oh. When you edit, do you take breaks or is it like when you start you have to finish?
When I
Like
start,
in
I have to finish because I just want to get
same.
it done. Because I just like hate doing it so bad. So it's just like when I'm like, okay, we're doing it.
It's
This is it.
momentum thing, for sure. And if you start again on another day, like the tones will be like it won't be consistent. Like
It's
consistency.
not the same because you're not in the same mindset when you sit down and like I don't know if you've like dealt with catalog corruption yet, but that was all sorts of
Oh, that triggered me. Yeah, damn. Oh my god, there's so many things that can go wrong. Um,
yeah.
for me, like, okay, what helps for me is, especially if it's digital or just like a large body of edits. You know the toolbar where you can see how many photos you have left.
Mhm.
I if that toolbar is tiny, it triggers me. So I need it to be very wide. So the first thing I do, I when I import my photos, I put them into like group folders of 50 or 100, something like small, so like it's manageable. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. It's just like it just makes me feel more motivated, like because I don't see how far I have left to go.
That's definitely a good way to go about it. Just sort of
I
like
like yeah.
you got
Like
to
if
compartmentalize.
we switch like outfits or location, that's a different folder. Just so I'm like, okay, that's done. And then I have like a checklist.
That's actually a really
Like
great idea. I like
instead of
that.
like a bunch just staring at you in the face and thanks. And what else? I talk to myself when I edit. Like I talk, talk out loud like bad things like bitch, what are you doing right now? These tones, or like I'll say out loud what I want or what I can see that I need to do, and then I'll do it. It's just a whole thing.
Do you get
I need
stoked
to
though
be.
sometimes? We're like, yeah, I fucking nailed that one.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh my god, the best feeling is when you're done.
that is a nice feeling.
And I can't. I don't even own a laptop because I can't. Like, do you edit in public or just in the comfort of your own home?
I had it in my house, yeah.
Yeah, same. I like my big Mac.
Oh, nice.
Like, to
Yeah,
see all the
I use a MacBook, but it's hooked up to
Oh yeah.
double screens here. Like I
Oh,
can,
double screen even. Ooh.
well, because I also work from home, so it's like
Yeah.
it's
Multi-purpose.
the two
Cool.
screens, and then like my MacBook and my work laptop over there. Um, yeah, but
Uh,
I just ordered an M1 Mac Mini, so I'm kind of curious to see how that works.
it's
Um,
is it new?
my Mac,
I don't.
yeah, it's like the latest Mac Mini using like the Apple Silicone. Because I used to have like an older Mac Mini that I sold because I was like, well, I never use my MacBook, so it just seems dumb to like have a MacBook and the Mac Mini. So I'm like, sell the Mac Mini and use the MacBook with the screens. And my MacBook is like hella old, and I totally forgot that when you run screens off of it, it runs the fan all the time, so it's never quiet. It's just always loud, and it
Oh
fuck
no.
irritates me so much. I hate it so
How old
bad.
are we talking? 20.
Shit, what is this? It might be a 2014.
And then
Oh
times 10
shit. So
technology years.
it's a MacBook Pro 15 late 2013. Yeah.
8, 10, 8, it's 80 years old.
But it's
In
running a
technology.
Big Sur on it, so it's got the latest
Oh,
OS. It
oh,
works
yeah.
fine. Like, and fun fact, I stole it from a company that I used to work for. Um, yeah, well, they were a startup and they were
It
dicks to
probably
me.
deserved
Well, the
it.
thing is, funny, I stole two laptops from them. Um, 'cause-
For legal purposes, this is a joke.
no, it's not. Well, I mean, they're bankrupt, so they can't even sue me anymore.
Oh.
Um, so they like ran me ragged when I first started working for them, and when I quit, I just didn't ship it back. And like the HR person's like, "Oh, did you send it?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, totally. I dropped it off at FedEx. I don't really know why you didn't get it." And they eventually just like
But I lost
stopped
it. It
bugging
was
me about it. And I was like, "Fuck yeah, free MacBook." And then I went to go back to work for them 9 months later, and when I came back, they were like, "Oh yeah, what kind of like laptop would you like issued?" And I was just like, in my mind, I was just thinking, well, y'all know that I have this laptop I took, so I just kind of assumed that I was gonna use the. But I didn't say that to them. I was like, "Oh, They're like, "Of course you get a new laptop," and I was like, "Oh, cool. I'll do a MacBook Pro 13, sure." Because like the 15's kind of a beast, so I got a 13, and then they went bankrupt while I was working for them, and that's why I work at Dell now. Yeah.
That's a great story. Everyone's laughing.
Yeah. Um, I don't steal anymore because like I'm just too old for that shit now. And but I mean, I was a petty bitch. Still can sometimes.
Opportunistic. Maybe.
Yeah, sure,
With a
opportunistic.
positive spin.
It's just, I felt they did me dirty, so I had to like get my dig back in somehow. Um, yeah. That's an
Material
interesting
item.
question. What has been like the most like awkward work experience you've ever had in photography or just in your daily like work job?
Awkward.
Yeah.
Okay. There's like levels of awkward.
Like the
Photography's always been good, so. Okay. I work retail at Adidas, and
okay.
um, these older guys, like maybe like 60, were like, but like young at heart, were shopping for shoes and sorry. And okay, so I got them their size, and then I told them like the shoe, um, like Adidas is known to be like longer or whatever, like go a half size down, and then he's like, uh, um, I walked away, and he didn't think I was listening, but he was like to his friend, I'm more known for my width length than my width. Sorry. Okay, I just I just messed up the joke, but then I was like, that was a good one, and he was like, I'm a cool person for letting that slide as a woman. I just had
Yeah.
like real weird comments about my body when I work retail, but
Really?
photography, honestly, I've never had a bad experience. Maybe like catfishes, maybe one or two, but
Wait. How have you had catfishes in photography?
like the when I shoot people who must have the raws because they like to manipulate certain things before the finals release, which is cool. Like body dysmorphia is real, but yeah, it's something I don't really prefer. I
Yeah, that doesn't
like
seem right.
yeah. Have you had that when like someone's like particular with like you'll do your edits and then you can't release them yet until they do their own edits?
So like this is mostly why I'll never really do stuff for money is like I did a wedding once and it was like a fucking nightmare and I'm like I'm never gonna do a wedding ever again.
Oh my god.
It was super painful and awkward.
I
And
can't see you
then
doing weddings.
What's that?
I can't see you doing weddings. You don't seem like, first of all,
Dude,
going home to that many photos. Was
it
it
was
solo?
yeah, it was solo, and it was also a really crazy wedding experience in the way that it was a camp away wedding, so it's like we were in the middle of the fucking forest for like
Whoa.
days. We were there for like I think it
Okay.
was
Not just a ceremony.
we were there for 2 days, 2 or 3 days before the wedding actually happened. We were there long enough that we drank all of the alcohol before the wedding even fucking happened, and shit got really
What kind
weird.
of planning? Were they
It
nature
was just a
people?
really it was a fucked up experience.
Oh my
But
god.
I'll never shoot another wedding because of that. And then recently I did headshots for a friend, and they were all happy with them. But then afterwards they were like, "Oh hey, like can you change this and can you change that?" Like I had another friend look at it, and they made these like recommendations and comments about like these things, and I was like, what? They're like, why is the light this way? It's like, well, because like we shot it under like an incandescent light, so like that's why like you wanted to have that lighting, so that's the lighting. And
I
it's like,
don't get it.
oh, well, my friend says it should look like this other way, and I'm like, I literally did this for free for you. Like it's already edited. I'm not
You
like,
said, did you say free?
yes,
I
because it was
didn't
like a
understand.
favor for them. They were like, oh, I'm like having trouble, and um, I was like, that's it. I'm never doing that again.
You shot a wedding in the woods that happened multiple days for free. It's okay, live and learn. But that's
Oh, the wedding I got paid for,
oh,
but it was like only a couple $100. The headshots though was like a different thing, and like that was like I don't know. I just people are kind of dink sometimes. So
live and learn. Every time something bad happens with a client or just like an interaction about photography, it's just another clause added to my contract. Like, oh my, okay, what I've learned that is so important is to have a late policy and a cancellation policy,
okay,
because especially as someone who commutes downtown or wherever, and doesn't drive, I had to wait 2 hours for a client once. I waited. Thankfully, it was sunny, but like 2 hours. Like at this
that's a
point,
little
I could
rough.
go home.
Yeah, like
I don't know.
that's
Like how long do people usually wait? Like until it's considered late or canceled? Because
I usually
now for
give
me, it's
people
like
15 minutes.
15. That's
Yeah,
fair. Yeah.
yeah, like that's 15 minutes has just kind of been like the time I give to like all things, where it's just like if you are not here in 15 minutes, or if you haven't been like, hey, sorry, running behind, like, updated ETA kind of thing. Like, if they don't have the decency to do that.
Yes. Okay. That's so important because on my way means nothing to me. I want ETA. I want shared location. I want to watch your Uber come to me. Oh, it's just like, okay, punctuality is very, very important to me. And and I show up like an hour to 30 minutes before. So 30 minutes late means I've been waiting for 1.5 hours.
Holy shit.
You
Well, good to
know?
know that you're such an early. I'm a perpetually late person. I'm terrible with it.
I commute, so that I always have to be like, I just get very, very anxious if I am not.
That's fair.
Bad things happen when you rush too. Sorry, I'm
Yeah, you
leaving
don't want to rush
arguments.
at all.
Arguments are over raws, honestly. Yeah, sometimes like yeah. I think now I don't mind it as much because like if they like there's other shoots, like if it's like something that's not going to be heavily publicized, and it's just on their gram, like sure you can have the raws, but like what I post and put out there, it's up to me.
Well, yeah, because that's your brand at the end of the day. So you want it to be like, on
Yeah,
brand for you.
it reflects on you. And also sending raws are freaking, I mean if it's filmed, that's cool, but like if it's digital, we transfer multiple files. Like I don't know how to efficiently send RAWs because it'll take hours.
Yeah, it's too huge sometimes to send the raws,
Yeah.
especially when you're doing digital shoots because you've probably shot a lot of photos when you're doing digital,
Yeah.
which is like
I don't know
what.
why they need them. Like I I trust that I find the most flattering ones, and I send a generous amount. Like I don't count edits or anything. Um, as long as they're not blinking or it's out of focus, like I edit and send. But yeah, it's weird that people still want even the outtakes. Why do
Yeah.
they need the raws for the gram? Okay, maybe okay. Why do people need raws? Maybe it's because they want to see their modeling or like their just learn from their mod poses, or they don't trust that you sent them all the good ones. Like there's like secret ones, I guess.
Well, then John's asking, what are your thoughts about a client or even a model posting your edited work but altering the image and then tagging you?
Whoa. Altered, like if it's like something that's dramatic. Like I get if like you added graphic design, whatever, to the album cover, but you know, as long as it's not on my page, because that's what I have control over,
Yeah,
it's fine with me. Yeah.
I got a question for you. This is sort of a controversial one. Borders or no borders?
Um, okay, honestly, I think borders have the ability to make a shit photo look better just because everyone loves borders. It's just like a so in that sense I see it as like a shortcut to good photo. And like the real good photos, um like it's good when it looks good with or without a border, you know what I mean? So I've never I don't think I've ever asked for borders. Yeah, how
I
about you?
fucking I fucking hate borders.
Oh
Like
my
it's
god. Okay. What
I'm
about
not
on
gonna lie. Like
digital? Sorry.
yeah, on anything, I fucking hate borders. Like I'm gonna out myself a little bit here. If I click on someone's grams and it's all borders, I click out of it.
This is turn off.
I'm probably like gonna lose a bunch of followers for that one, but it's just like I really hate borders like so much because I'm like I don't. It's already a small enough picture. Why are you gonna make it even more smaller and have all this
Right. I
light
wanna
or whatever?
make
Now,
up.
only caveat being is sometimes when you want to have it in a certain orientation, you gotta fuck with borders a little bit to
Mm-hmm.
get it right. But that I understand and I give leeway for, but like if I see like something where it's just like a sea of like white or black borders, I'm just like,
Like
ah,
it's
fuck,
the
no.
okay.
Yeah, like
You
like
know when
dang, it's
people
more.
oh sorry. Yeah. When people edit borders on digital, um it's first of all it's like it's tacky, and second of all I see it as like very misleading, like you're fooling your potential clients, like thinking like that it's film and that you do this when it's uh, I just like authenticity.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. I like authenticity too, and I also just like seeing like more of the photo. Like it's and that their comment is very your makeup is very on point tonight.
thanks. I
I like.
filmed the video and I was like it was for this and my video.
I'm excited to see the video. When you posting that?
Probably right after this. It's a
Okay.
it's a cover.
Nice.
Um,
I do like seeing your music stories on there and stuff.
it's a nice escape from photography because photography is just like a career right now. I don't really get to shoot for fun anymore because, like, I always equate the costs. You know what I mean? Like,
That's fair.
um,
It does get kind of expensive.
mm, oh, okay. Someone DM me. He was in this chat. Logan, video photographer. Or sorry, his it's Logan. His name is Logan. He wants to
Yeah.
be part of this session. He's like, how do I get in one of these sessions? So I will share your name or his name to you.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
I think he does video and photography, but he's someone I shot with a very long time
Okay.
ago.
Yeah, I'm always happy to like, do more interviews with
Yeah,
people
these are
on.
cool. Thank you for having me, by the way.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Like, thank you for being on it.
People
Like
are
I think
very engaging, which is like makes a difference.
well, and that's what makes it kind of fun is like when there's like engagement from the crowd and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes like the people are also like wicked engaging. Like I think one of my favorite ones so far was Grant Britton last year. He was like that dude. He fucking kills me. He's such an interesting cat. He's like one of the longest running skateboard photographers out there. And the chat with him was just so much fun because he's just this like fucking rad cantankerous dude from Southern California that just takes no bullshit from anyone. And yeah, it was interesting, like just hearing how his experience has been, and like his photography is also amazing because like I love his skate photography, and so far he's been the only person on the chat that's done this, but he sent me this like massive Dropbox of photos ahead of time.
Yeah.
Um, and I was just like, okay, like I could share some of your work here if you want. He's like, oh, I just thought I'd share some stuff. But he's like, just between you and me, like, don't give these to anyone else. Um, but he had like a bunch of his artistic stuff in there, and his black and white artistic photos were just mind blowing. So he's been my favorite person
Oh.
on the chat so far.
Where is he based again? He said SoCal.
Yeah, he's not far from San Clemente, I believe, because that's where I met him. Was at the Darkroom Lab Film Padea in San Clemente in 2019, um, which was a lot of fun. That's where I also met Take, who is the dude that I was chatting with recently. Not, I think he was, yeah, last week was Take.
Um,
Yeah.
have you spent some time, or have you developed film in LA, or California? I guess. Do you know? There's this famous photo lab that everyone goes to. It's like red stock or red film lab. Or do you anything ringing a bell?
No, but I haven't had anything developed in
Oh, okay.
LA.
I
Because
noticed that like people who shoot and develop there, like they have this certain tone that um I try to emulate and I can never. I don't know like how they do it, but I want to send one of my roles to them one day.
is it just like in general or when they're doing like outdoor shots and stuff?
In general, like even indoor, like there's the way they render skin tones, it's just like this nice yellow warmth that I'm always going for, but it's just they just have a look. I'll find it
Oh,
out and maybe
because
you can.
that's one thing I noticed too is like when I would see photos of like the Midwest and like even like California and stuff, there's just this like way about the light there that
Yeah,
you
is it the
like
sun?
you
Is it
it,
yeah.
it is fun. So it's like the very
Yeah.
first time I went to Texas and I got my film back after shooting there, I was like, holy shit, you just have to be there. Like that it's the
Oh,
way the light is. Um
oh,
yeah, so like
interesting.
Texas is such a fun place to shoot from that and the desert too. Like I've shot a bunch outside of the desert in Las Vegas and that's
I've always
like
desert. That's cool.
it's so cool. Like there's just something really just awe-inspiring about
All
how
that negative space, just blank
yeah,
state.
it's very peaceful.
Is it
Like
inconvenient, like the heat, or it's
not
manageable?
really. Like it's so I don't really like Vegas at all, and so in like the old world, whenever I would have to go to Vegas for work, I would try and spend as much time as I could like out of Vegas.
Yeah.
So like I work and then like rent a car and like drive out. Um, and it's not super duper hot, but I mean like the thing too is like if you're in a car, you can like dip in and out of the AC and
True.
shit. So like drive and find a cool spot, take some photos, get back in that sweet, sweet AC. Um, but night photography is pretty cool out there too. Like Las Vegas had some like really cool, like the Neon History Museum was a cool place to go shoot at night because they have like all this like old neon lit up at night, and yeah, that's dope. Is it, John says scanning from
That's true.
RA4
Like,
darkroom print can also give that warm tonality look as far as fashion work goes. But I feel like a lot of Cali photographers tend to overexpose their color neg work, and that's true. Yeah, they do. Like that was one of the
exactly.
comments that Jason told me with Portra is to always like overexpose at one stop. Um,
Mhm. I
yeah,
used to do that, but now I just shoot straight.
I used to like overexpose it too, but it's just like, for lack of better words, I've just kind of like discovered that like Portra is just like the dirty slut of like film emulsions, and it takes whatever you throw at it and renders beautiful
Oh
photos.
my god, so true. Like that's why it's like everyone's go-to. It's my go-to. I never shoot Fuji except Fuji Superior 1600. I'm glad you mentioned it because I missed it. Is it still available? I know it's
It is
really
not. They
no.
so they killed it. They killed it last year. Um,
Shit, I should have
and so
stopped.
like I bought 6 rolls from Downtown Camera when they were just going out, and I've
Good
got
move.
5 left.
I have
Um,
one expired one, so maybe I'll put that to use.
Expired's fun though. Like some of my favorite film to shoot is Expired. Like I've got all this old school Egg for Chrome RS 1000.
Oh,
That
oh yes.
Yeah, and like this
So
shit expired.
complicated.
I think like some of the newest stuff is like 95, but a lot of it expired in like 91, and it still shoots beautifully.
John speaking facts.
Goes for 320 and developed for 400 is the consensus. Yeah, so that's what I did for a long time with my Portra was expose 320 and just develop standard. Um, but I've been really liking Lomography 400 lately, um, because the Kodak price increase was dramatic.
Oh, I know.
I know, right?
I've had to change my film price sheets because I charge for film costs too.
Well, as you should. You got to recoup your cost on it, and like the code, it was a lot. And I mean, um, they got me on the film price increase last year. I like dropped way more money than I'd like to admit because I was like, oh my god, oh my god, and then this time I'm like,
I
fuck you.
know.
That's
It's
no,
just
I'm
gonna.
not. I still have like 4 or 5 rolls of Portrait 800 and like 4 or 5 rolls of T Max 3200 left from like that big old purchase.
Good for you. That's fair. You're holding gems. Um, we are spoiled with the Evolutions now. Yes, I know your opinions about this. Grungy green shadows. That's true. Do you like Fuji?
So,
So sweet, no. It's not my
um,
go-to. When I'm in Japan, because it's like more readily available than Portra, that's when I'll shoot it. But
so the I have a love mostly hate relationship with Fuji. Um, Mostly because they keep killing beautiful things. Like it's just
ah,
yeah, they're like, oh, this is popular, people like it. Okay, it's dead.
let's just stop production.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the unforgivable thing that they did for me was like they killed pack film, and I love pack film so much. It's like my all-time favorite medium to shoot with ever.
Yeah, sure.
Um,
Any? Do you have any left?
I do, I do
Yeah.
have a few dozen packs left, which is what I'm going to use to shoot the book with. Um, and I've got like a bunch of like FP100C, some FP100B, and FP3000B. Um, yeah, but I mean, on the same token too, like I appreciate some of the other things that Fuji's done. Like Instax is a cool format. The cameras are just mostly shit. I wish they would make nicer Instax cameras.
That's true. Oh wow, coming from
Yeah,
you, yeah.
well, because like the format is beautiful. Like the film is gorgeous. Like if you shoot Instax in a nice camera, it's beautiful. Like I've gotten some shots that were
I'm gonna
shot
try.
in Graflex of Instax wide with like a Aero Ektar lens, and it's just like mind blowing.
Cool.
But then you put it in like the shitty Fuji camera with the plastic lens, and it's just like
I
potato
know.
photo, which
It's
is a
not for
shame.
like high-end photographers. It's more like beginner,
Yeah,
casual.
which is great. Like
Arts.
that's their target market for it, and like
Yeah.
that's the same thing with like
So,
people that are all upset about the Polaroid Now camera, and they're just like, oh, Polaroid's catering to like a shit market. It's like no, they're trying to like stay alive by like
yeah,
catering to
exactly.
people that will like have disposable income to buy something that's interesting and like trinkety. Um, and it's also like neat too, like what they're doing on the digital camera front as well too. Like, um, I was at the launch for the X Pro 3 last year, and goddamn, that was like a really nice camera to use. Like I was like, if I had thousands of dollars to drop on a camera, I would definitely pick one of those up. So,
Ooh.
uh,
Wait, I'm just reading
but yeah,
John's comment for the RZ. Wow, cool.
John's right though.
Yeah.
The Instax just doesn't have the same character as Polaroid. Like Polaroid has a very
Just
specific feel to it.
totally.
Yeah. And then also like it's a different feel with the cameras too, like depending on what camera you're using to shoot it. Like the camera I use the most for Polaroid is an SX70 or an SLR 680, which are the pop-up instant cameras. And those are like a really unique camera to shoot with. Like I've got a couple that are in Texas right now getting doctored up, but one of them is like going to be geared specifically for studio shooting, which will be fun because like it'll be set up so that I could use it with my strobes and stuff. Um,
Wow, I can't wait to see
well,
the result of that. That's cool. I don't shoot Polaroid anymore, but maybe I will. I stopped because it hurts the wallet
it's
every
not,
shot, and yeah,
yeah, like it's the Polaroid book cost me a lot more money than I'd like to
I can
admit that
imagine.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, eight
because there's
shots.
like there's almost 100 photos in it's like 98 photos in that book.
Whoa. Okay, when does it release, or is it out already? Because I
I'm
would.
going to be putting it up for pre-order in a couple weeks here. There's
Cool.
just a couple of things I need to sort out with Blurb, just to confirm some stuff before I open it up. But I'm going to do probably
Yay.
pre-orders for like 3 or 4 weeks, and then do a production run based off of that.
Okay, I will stay in the loop. If you don't want to buy proper inside bags for me in format. Okay, wait, I'm screenshotting that. So, no.
Yeah, the Lomo Square one is cool. John is right. So I used that camera when I was out on the Lomo walk, and they make a wide version of that one as well too. It's a pretty cool like pop out.
Is that the white one?
Yeah, it's the white one. Yeah,
Oh yeah, that one fascinated me. It looks like a Nintendo Wii.
yeah, they are very cool, and like
Yeah, it's
they're
very
great.
fast.
And then Mint Camera is also making some really nice Instax cameras as well too. So
Cool.
there are some good alternatives out there to the Fuji cameras. Um, yeah, lots of options. Like that's the thing that's kind of cool is like there is there's stuff on the instant film side that's being created. I just wish on like the 35 mil 120 side that new cameras would get made because
I know. I'm waiting. I can't wait to see the day. Like, you think it'll happen with the film resurgence? It'll be
I
expensive.
I hope it would happen, but it's just I think like it'll probably end up being a high-end point and shoot before it'll be like an
Right.
SLR.
Yeah.
Because like an SLR is just that's going to be a lot more engineering than you think. And then I had like an interesting chat a couple weeks ago with Phil Steble, who's the co-founder of the Darkroom Lab in San Clemente, and he's saying like in talks he's had with people about like a new camera being created, the biggest struggle is creating shutters.
Yeah.
So the we just don't really have the ability that we used to build shutters for like SLR cameras. So that's also something that's like possibly preventing a return of an SLR camera. Like I mean, Leica is still making 35 millimeters, but those are like hella expensive. Um, the the F6 was discontinued last year, John, and then the Canon N1 was discontinued the year before that. So yeah, up until last year, Nikon and Leica were like the last two places you could buy a brand new film camera from, but now it's just Leica,
Thanks.
which is so much money.
Do you have experience shooting a Hassie?
Yeah.
Do you own one?
No,
Same.
no.
I want to try. I like the square format, but yeah.
If you like square format, I would highly recommend looking for a Bronica
I'm
SQAI.
doing. You're gonna say Monica. True. But
It's like Japanese Hasselblad, and for the most part, much cheaper as well.
yeah, yeah. I
Uh,
see. That's
and
true.
I shot the first book was all shot with the SQAI, and it's a beautiful camera. It's
Size
got
is it
like
not overwhelming? Is it? Because I like
no,
the
no,
size of the Hassie.
it's not that big at all. Here, I can I'll show it to you. Let me go. We'll go for a wander back out into my dirty house again.
My RV67 is my favorite, but it, with my proportions, it's not always the most ergonomic.
Okay, so this is the SQAI.
Oh, cool. Okay, wait.
So,
Compared to a Mamiya 645, is it smaller? It looks smaller. That's cool.
uh, it's pretty small. Like I mean, it's a chunky boy. But the 80 mil lens is wicked dope on it. Um, Also,
Oh,
if you want to explore square, these guys are pretty sweet too. Come on, the Mamiya C33. These are wicked cool cameras as well to shoot square format.
I forgot it was square.
And yeah, like it weighs about the same as the Bronica, but you have like the pop-up viewfinder with it.
Yeah.
Um, One thing that's also kind of cool with this guy, and I want to do more experimenting with it, is you can really easily shoot 35 millimeter inside of these, because you can fit a 35 millimeter cassette in here, and then just take the spool and spool the 35 millimeter up into the top, and so you can shoot with the frame lines. So you can like expose the whole width of the film,
Right.
uh,
Oh,
which is
wow.
pretty cool. And then you just need a dark bag to take it out afterwards because it's you're not able to like rewind it up into the top thing. So if you shoot 35 millimeter in one of these,
That's so cool.
you just have to open it up in a dark bag and then like re-spool it back into the canister. When it's not that hard to do. The one thing though that you have to watch out for on these old Mamiya TLRs is this guy here. So I only put about 3 rolls of film on this before this broke. This little
What?
sprocket here rolls
Oh,
against the film, and the sprocket is what controls the film counter, but also the interlocks for film advancement. And so if this breaks, the camera basically doesn't really work anymore. Um, so I spent almost as much as I spent on the camera to get this fixed by a place in Montreal. because the camera is basically so just to watch out for that. But the C33s are such a cool camera, and like for doing street photography, they're wicked awesome because the shutter is like dead silent on it. Like here, let me.
Yeah, shutter.
Okay, let's go. You got the shutter here, and so I'll get the microphone up close so you could try and hear it. But this is the shutter noise. Oh, come on, buddy. Why aren't you going? That's it. Just that little click.
Wow.
That's all the shutter noise.
Compared
Here,
to
we'll
the
do
art.
one. That's it. Just that little
Oh
click.
wow! And
If
then
you're
like
doing,
with ambient noise outside, you can't even hear that.
yeah, if you're doing street photography, it's great because you can also just like if you're wearing it around your neck,
Yeah.
you kind of just got it like this, and so you can just casually sort of like frame up the shots of what you're looking at people, and just then hang out and wait for the moment. So when I'm shooting with the Mamiya or with the Bronica, I'll usually focus and frame everything and then just stand and wait for the right moment to hit the shutter, which is different from when I'm shooting with 35 millimeter.
Every camera, different Canon camera offers a different experience. It's so cool. No two are the same.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of fun.
I love it. Waste level finders forever.
Waist level finders are a good time. I really enjoy waist level finders.
I like just the vulnerability of it, not having like to stare directly into your subject's eyes, and you hunched over, so you're like in a more submissive position, and they get to be there. I like it.
Well, and it's also a little less threatening as well too, because like when you're holding like the camera up and you're pointing it at them, it's like you have a barrier between. Yeah, it is kind of scary. Whereas like when you've got a waist level finder, and what I really like with the Bronica is like I can just hold it in my palm and just sort of like have it there. So once I've focused and framed and I can like look down at the waist level and make sure everything's cool, I can be having a conversation with the subject I'm working with, and then I'll just like wait for like an honest moment and then fire it, and they'll have no idea when I'm actually gonna fire because like we're just talking and just like,
Nice.
yeah, what do you think
really
about
good
this?
at that.
Yeah, which makes it kind of fun.
That's so cool. Wait, is that Mamiya C30?
Yeah, the C330 is just like the upper end model of it. So it's like the C3, C330, C33 are all more or less functionally similar. Same with the C2, the C20, and the C220.
I see the
The
yeah.
Yeah, just the Mamiya C series. Like they're great TLR cameras if you want to get into like 6x6. I like the square format though because it's a lot of fun.
Shit.
Yeah.
Do they go for a lot? I don't imagine so.
Um, I think like they're anywhere from like $400 to $600, sometimes more, depending on what you're going with. Again, like a nice lens to get like to start off with medium format is usually like 80 mil. That's a good place to start with that. Yeah.
I don't know how long your lives are usually, but I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say like I was just gonna like start wrapping up here. I really
It's
appreciate
so
you.
fun. Like the time went by so quickly.
It does. So like before there used to be like a hard limit on an hour, and
Oh, true. Yeah, that never happened.
yeah, so
For the
Instagram
update.
removed that block. There's no more hard limit. So
Good.
now the lives have been going like usually about a half, like hour and a half, hour 45 minutes. Which has been interesting because like before we'd always kind of like the hour would like be almost too little
Right.
because
Pressure.
we'd just start getting going and then it's like, oh no, we have to stop. So yeah, this is a good time. So thank you
Oh,
so much. It was great chatting with you.
thank you for having me. I can't wait. Do these happen every Thursday or every other Thursday?
Every Thursday I do them,
Cool.
except for next week. It's going to be on Wednesday and it's going to be later. So next week I'm gonna have Jason Cumberfeld, who also goes by Grainy Days on YouTube. He's gonna be my guest next week, and
Cool.
he couldn't do Thursday because he's got a buddy of his has a premiere for a short film that he made on Thursday. So we're going to do it Wednesday, but he also doesn't get off work until 7 p.m. Pacific time. So it's going to be
Oh,
Wednesday at 10.
midnight.
No, not quite midnight, but it's gonna be a late night feature. But typically I always do them every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, which seems to be like a kind of good time to like catch
Yeah, it's a
people in
fun
the
time
East
for sure.
Coast and West
People are in their
Coast.
beds, their couches, just chilling.
Yeah, exactly. So
Cool.
thank you so
Thank you,
much, and I look forward to like chatting with you more. And thank you everyone for joining us tonight, and hope to see you all next week.
Take care.
All right, see ya. Bye.